We're jumping right into a special breaking news explainer today. I'm coming to you with the latest information we've gathered on current digital access protocols. You know, those increasingly prominent system gateways guarding our most advanced tech? Well, if you've been navigating the web lately, you've absolutely encountered the exact checkpoint we're analyzing right now. We are actively monitoring the strict sequential protocols that dictate exactly how you're permitted to connect with destination servers. So, our goal today, we're going to unpack the exact mechanics of this digital checkpoint, analyzing what's actually happening in those critical milliseconds right before you get granted access. Okay, let's dive into this. The information we're getting starts with a deceptively simple, totally recognizable directive. Just a moment. Now, while it sounds polite, right, almost friendly, our analysis shows this is definitely not a request. It's a mandatory system pause. Literally, this is the precise moment the digital gateway drops the barrier. Based on our reports, this brief, forced window kicks off the entire security sequence. You're effectively halted at the perimeter while the system assesses your connection, figuring out if you're a real risk or just a legitimate request. So let's break down exactly what happens during that mandatory hold. We've mapped out the exact four-step process the system requires to clear you. Step 1 is the pause, that sudden, jarring halt of your immediate access. Second is the verify stage. This is where the system runs its rigorous background checks on your incoming connection. Third, we have the mandate to enable tech. Basically, specific interactive browser functions absolutely must be active and broadcasting correctly. And finally, only then do we hit step 4, connect. You cannot skip a step here. The logic of this gateway is totally linear, absolute, and honestly pretty unforgiving of any deviations. This whole sequence forces a really critical status shift. We always start out in this anxious holding pattern, verification pending. But the ultimate target state, the system's big digital green light, is achieving verification successful. That phrase right there is the absolute objective. It's the system's official way of clearing you from suspicion. But listen, getting to that successful state, not a given at all. It requires your setup to meet some very specific, completely non-negotiable demands before that pending status ever flips. The underlying reality of this checkpoint is that the system doesn't just passively glance at your connection. Oh no. Strict browser requirements are being actively enforced. The gateway is basically interrogating your digital environment to see if it's equipped with the right tools. If your setup is too locked down, say you're running heavy privacy shields or stripped-back configurations, well, the gateway will just stall. It simply will not allow that successful verification state to trigger. You literally must comply with its technical mandates if you want to move any further. The data we have specifically points to two primary technical mandates. The first one, JavaScript. Now, while we usually know this as the standard for making web pages interactive and dynamic, the security gateway explicitly weaponizes it for validation. Without JavaScript actively running, the system can't execute its background challenges to prove you're a real user. It actually requires that interactive capability to run complex verification scripts locally right on your machine, calculating responses that prove a human, or, well, at least a benign client, is actually behind a request. And this brilliantly illustrates the second crucial requirement needed to maintain this continuous clearance: cookies. Beyond just remembering your user state, the checkpoint relies heavily on these small data files as a persistent digital footprint. It proves you've already passed the perimeter. See, the system doesn't just need to verify you once, it needs to remember that it verified you as you move forward into the application. Cookies provide that secure memory token. They act as your digital stamped passport for the entire duration of your session. So the crucial point here is perfectly captured in this direct system prompt we've recorded. Enable JavaScript and cookies to continue. This right here is the non-negotiable ultimatum of the modern digital checkpoint. These two specific technologies act as the absolute prerequisites for moving forward. If you try to prioritize maximum privacy by completely disabling these features, the gateway simply won't open. It's a trade-off. You trade a certain degree of local browser control and anonymity for the privilege of access. It is a hard border, plain and simple. Now, once those conditions are met and the verification is finally successful, we enter the last stage of the sequence. But the breaking news here is that clearance still isn't quite instant. There's a concluding wait. As the system notes, you are now waiting for OpenAI.com to respond. The gateway has done its job, it validated your environment, and passed your approved request along. But now you just have to wait for the actual destination server itself to acknowledge you, and finally open the door to the platform. This seemingly mundane process of pausing, verifying, and enforcing browser settings, it happens literally millions of times a day, usually in the blink of an eye. But it represents a massive infrastructure of control governing the modern web. Which leaves us with this to ponder. As digital gateways grow stricter and demand very specific technical compliances just to load a single page, who really holds the keys to our digital tools? Are we actually the masters of our browsing experience, or are we simply waiting for permission to enter? Thanks for joining me for this news brief. Keep an eye on those loading screens, folks. There's a whole lot more happening behind the scenes than you might think.